The goal of the game came in the 74th minute, when a long throw from Leeburn was headed by Gary Nelson past our goalkeeper David Walter. This was Nelson's first goal for Charlton.
Leeburn is away now. Chance for Charles Leeburn to cross. He pulls it back for Nelson. It's there. 1-0 Charlton, and it's Gary Nelson. And indeed, Carl Leeburn deserves the congratulations. Nelson involved, and Nelson does well to find Colin Walsh. Leeburn to target. Leeburn onside. Leeburn who's turned now. Nelson in there. Nelson for Charlton. 1-0. Gary Nelson. And good play there by Carl Leeburn.
Gary Nelson gave Charlton the lead in the 51st minute, driving this volley past Leicester keeper Kevin Poole to earn...
Tackle in with Briley, and now Robert Lee with a chance to bring the ball down through for Nelson. Nelson with a chance. Nelson scores for Charlton after less than a minute, 53 seconds on the clock.
Scrambling the ball over the line to give Charlton a last-minute winner.
Do that again. Here's Lee for Charlton. Skips aside one challenge. The ball through to Nelson. He's through. Nelson scores. It's 1-0 to Charlton after 7 minutes. And
Charlton took the lead in the 69th minute when a shot from Gary Nelson bounced off Butcher into the back of the net.
Couple of goals and 3 points would boost morale no end for Charlton. Walsh, and has it gone straight in? It has! At the far post, and it's Gary Nelson! Colin Walsh's corner looked as if it was going to dip under the crossbar. It actually hit the woodwork, and it fell straight to Gary Nelson. It was an absolute gift, but it's broken a duck for Nelson, and he's delighted with it. He succeeded only in giving it to Walsh. And now Leeburn giving chase, a good header by Hill. This is still Leeburn's ball though. A lovely little nod out to Nelson. Leeburn peeling off. Nelson going alone. Nelson going to try one. Oh, Gary Nelson with the second of the night. And that must be 3 points for Charlton. Leeburn won the header in the midfield and flicked it out to Nelson on the left flank. He cut inside one challenge. And from fully 25 yards, he found the corner of the net past the despairing dive of Kevin Poole. Goes to Palmer. Across to the far post. Leeburn's up there. Oh, he found Nelson! Yes, it's goal! Charlton on the back in it. Gary Nelson with his third goal in 3 games, and it was a super move by Charlton. Stuart Palmer chipping the ball in to the far post. Leeburn's header down was precision itself, and Nelson finished at the far post with ease.
A thoroughly deserved draw for Charlton began with Gary Nelson putting the Robins ahead of Leeds with just 20 minutes to spare.
For Charlton's game at Swindon, and the joint manager's presence had an almost immediate effect. Gary Nelson picked up the pieces after Swindon, who lost their own manager Glenn Hoddle in the pre-match warm-up, had got in a real mess. And
for Leeburn, inevitably. Nelson not able to... Oh, well, there's a mistake there from Howie, and that's the equaliser. Gary Nelson punishing the error there, and he's had to go through the pain barrier, it looks like, for that, but he won't mind at all. And Charlton have snatched an equaliser. It's a long trip up from South London, and Nelson looks in some discomfort there. And that's almost as big a stunner as the opening goal by Robert Lee. Howie was checking there, having a look around, tried to play it out, and got an awkward bounce and fell over it, and Nelson snapped it up.
it's a marathon, but Charlton don't mind being the pacemakers. Just like last year, after the first week they went top. Gary Nelson's instinctive finish paid.
Nelson's onside, he's being pushed, the referee is flagging play on. Nelson's round, he's there! That was well played, well seen by the referee. The linesman was flagging for a foul. The referee said play on. Nelson kept his feet, rounded the goalkeeper and put the ball away.
yesterday when Gary Nelson sprung the Watford offside trap and added to the sequence of quality goals Charlton have been scoring in recent weeks. 1-0 after just 2 minutes. Position, top and 4 points clear. Oxford, stuck at the other end, were convinced Gary Nelson's winner, stabbed in from 10 yards, was offside. But once in front, Charlton rarely let a lead slip these days, and the best defence in the division held out to stretch their lead at the top.
Free kick. Charlton equalised 6 minutes later when first Craig Short and then goalkeeper Martin Taylor failed to clear, and Gary Nelson was left with a simple chance.
Been a problem, but Garland's return in midfield made the big difference yesterday. He had something extra to Charlton's forward momentum, and it was his run that caused the panic Gary Nelson profited from. The game had well and truly swung Charlton's way when Nelson made it 3 goals in 15 minutes. Darren Pitcher and then Leeburn were involved in the build-up, and more football and finishing like that, and Charlton will definitely stay the course this season.
Next game away to Peterborough, the Addicks had a new face in the side in the form of Mark Robson, the new signing from West Ham. The only goal of the game came after 64 minutes when Gary Nelson broke the deadlock to slam in his 8th goal of the season. 2 minutes from time, Gary Nelson wrapped up the points for the Addicks, scoring from a deflected drive to leave the full-time result: Oxford United 0, Charlton Athletic 4. A week later, the Addicks were hoping to continue their tremendous FA Cup.
Chance here. Oh, he must score! 1-0. Stevens couldn't get the tackle in. And Charlton Athletic steal the lead.
This is Leeburn. This is Walsh. And this is Nelson. Nelson's through. He's chance for Gary Nelson. Oh, it's a fumble and it's in. And after making 2 or 3 excellent saves in the first quarter of an hour, Scott Cooksey is finally beaten by Gary Nelson, who will be the first to admit he didn't strike the shot very well. Knocking the ball into the box, looking for Iorfa. And Charlton get it away, and this is Walsh. And that's a lovely first-time ball from Colin Walsh out towards the right flank. Nelson cutting in. Gary Nelson on his left foot with a chance. Oh, fine goal. That's 2 for Gary Nelson, it's 2 for Charlton. And Peterborough showing why they are bottom of the division. They were sliced apart there by Charlton. Pitcher wins the header. Oh, and they're all over the place, Peterborough. And Gary Nelson's off. He's in search of his hat-trick. There's a shot. Oh, deflection, and there indeed is his hat-trick. Gary Nelson becomes the first player to score 3 in a game for Charlton since Jim Melrose some 8 years ago. It took a deflection, but there's no doubt that Nelson will claim the goal. And that's a hat-trick. And I think it's probably Gary Nelson's first. Deep into the City penalty area. Leeburn's up there. Chance now for Nelson. Oh, fine goal! Gary Nelson on the volley with his 14th of the season. And that's an immediate response to Bristol City taking the lead. Leeburn was causing problems with his height and strength yet again. And Nelson turned and volleyed the ball beautifully past Welsh. It's 1. And again, Chappell finding number 2, Mickey Bennett. Another long ball forward from Bennett. Oh, Nelson's in here. Gary Nelson! Fine goal. Gary Nelson with his 15th of the season levels the scores here at the Valley. A mistake there from the Middlesbrough defender. Nelson whipped it off his toes and made no mistake beating Steve Pears in a similar spot to where Walsh found the net. It's
Smith are still unbeaten, but they needed a bit of help to get a point against Charlton. Peter Brackley is the commentator.
Shot driven through and a goal! Gary Nelson for Charlton. Garland with the corner. And Pompey defenders failing to deal with it. Nelson's shot nestling into the corner.
However, Charlton weren't going to let Stoke take the spoils that easily, as Gary Nelson sparked something of a revival with his 72nd minute effort.
Thompson. And Nelson made the run. Nelson, has he got the better of Thompson? He has, goes round all the way and scores. The man who used to play here at the county ground has come back to haunt Swindon Town. He got the better of Andy Thompson, floated over the top. He also got the better of Fraser Digby. And it's Gary Nelson who has put Charlton into the lead.
It's a great ball by Gary Robson. Nelson half a yard on Thompson all the way, and you know exactly where he's going to go. Lovely turn, commits Fraser Digby as well. Sticks a ball into Nelson. Good play.
This time, Nelson can get round the back once more. Can he drag it across? And that looks like an own goal. It's Nelson again, but I'm sure that took a deflection of Thompson or one of the Swindon defenders. And Charlton go back in the lead, but once again, the danger man is Gary Nelson.
Yes, again, picking the ball up in space. He more than anyone has engineered his own space tonight. And it actually just comes off Thompson.
Singled out Gary Nelson as the difference between the two sides. In the final 5 minutes, Notts County couldn't contain him either. With time running out, Charlton repeated last season's performance when they came from 3-1 down to get a point, as Nelson pounced for the equaliser.
With Watford.
Oh, Brown is in there, and Nelson has scored! Oh, it's a goal for Charlton. A fortuitous goal perhaps, but they all count. It was Steve Brown who drove the ball in from the right-hand side. The goalkeeper misjudged it badly, and it was Gary Nelson who picked the ball up as it bounced back off the post and headed it in for his 7th of the season. It's Charlton Athletic 1, Watford 0, and it's...
Injury time, Gary Nelson connects with Steve Brown's flick to give...
Mortimer toiled very hard in the first half. And so it goes here for Nelson. And the defender slipped, and yet Nelson still got the chance to play himself in and driving a goal. Gary Nelson for Charlton Athletic. And Charlton get the lead that their footballers deserved with Gary Nelson's first goal since one against Tranmere back in November.
The captain coming inside, couldn't quite hold it, greasy ball maybe. But he's done well in the first place, I feel, because that was clever. The dive in of Millwall defender was rather silly, I felt. And then he's come across Raven and he's whacked that ball firm and fiercely. And Stuart Naylor couldn't hold on to that. And I think it's a just reward, really, for Charlton, who've been the more solid side and have passed it more sensibly and more effectively. Now we'll see a real game.
Charlton sub Kim Grant hit the post, but Gary Nelson followed up.
Leeburne's chest to Walsh, and a good break here by Gary Nelson. Can Nelson get there first? Nelson is going to score for Charlton Athletic.
And that was that. Luton's... White muscled in on the edge of the area, and Nelson, just onside, turned in the winner.